Hello, everyone.
And you're
Welcome to
recording.
the Aussie
Oh,
Ninja
sorry.
Video Show. I've got Andrew here, who is the CEO of the Koinos Group. The Koinos being a very excellent blockchain that is coming just around the corner, maybe. How are you, Andrew?
I'm good.
Excellent. So today I thought we could dive into gFam, which is the project that I'm building, to see where smart contracts could be useful. I know this is something that I've kind of been struggling with. Like, I've been talking to you a fair bit, and I want to do a lot with this site, but it's really hard to wrap my head around like what smart contracts can and can't do. So I thought I'd share my screen if that's all right.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm actually very excited about this because it's really important for us to understand the needs of developers like you. I mean, we want to create an ecosystem where an application developer, a regular one, any application developer can come in and immediately understand how they can pipe Koinos into their application to just make it better and to do that fast and easy. And it's funny, as the developers of this platform, you'd think it would be more obvious how that will be, and what developers will want to use it for, but it's not. There's no substitute to actually engaging with your customer,
Right.
understanding their needs and how they view the world. Because really what you're doing is you're trying to align your visions of the world. And then there's just a bunch of technical implementations, but you have to be working off of the same mental model. And that's actually surprisingly difficult to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's do this.
I really like the concept that you don't know where Coinos might end up. Like, I love that. Like, who knows where anything's going to end up?
Yeah, and
So can you
it has
see?
to be able to change to the, and your needs are going to change.
Yeah.
Your
Oh,
needs will
absolutely.
change.
Yeah.
Your users' needs will change. And so, yeah, that's why the platform's really built around changing.
Right. So can you see the gFam screen? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it over here if you see me.
So I'll just very briefly explain what's going on the screen. So basically, gFam is an opportunity for people to tell stories, to essentially monetize their content. So what I noticed is on things like Instagram and TikTok and all those types of places, people were putting out amazing content. They had hundreds of thousands of followers, but they weren't making any money from that. In order to make money, people would have to sell courses or, feature products that they didn't care about, or set up something else like Patreon or OnlyFans or whatever. So basically, gFam is an opportunity for people to bring their audience, and then the people who love their content can leave them tips. So there's two ways to monetize on there's two ways to monetize cats. There's two ways to monetize on gFam. So one is that you can receive tips, and so the tips are in XRP at the moment because that's a really quick, really cheap blockchain. And then the other is this web monetization. So you can see on the browser here, this little dollar sign. And so what that means is that I am paying $5 to coil.com. And that means I can access a bunch of different websites, a bunch of different content. And the time that I spend on someone's content, they receive micropayments. So when I click on various creators in gFam, if I click on this first one, then they get the micropayments. If I click on the next one, then they get the micropayments. And it's all based on the amount of time that you spend. And then I guess the third kind of thing that gFam offers is this gated content. So you can see here, this person, it's really blurry. And to unlock their content, you have to pay like 5 XRP. And so this person has received, a few tips to essentially unlock their content. And so this is kind of designed for people in the fitness industry, or like people like that have recipes that they basically don't want to unleash to the public. They kind of want to get paid for their content. So this is really what gFam is about. So yeah, that's the site. So from a smart contract point of view, it feels like I could do anything, which is also hard.
When we start from the perspective of the technology and what you can do with the technology, it opens up this world of possibilities, this unlimited world of possibilities that actually makes it really hard to execute.
Right.
Like my wife and I love cooking shows, and they always do their best work when they're like, you have to cook us a great meal and you have to use like yuzu and cow balls and like tortilla chips, and like then because they have these limitations,
Yeah.
they like put out this dish where you're like, I want that, that's amazing.
Yeah. And
Um,
my partner is a musician. And so she's found like actually constraining, like she's got these cards that basically say, create a song that is about autumn and the forest and fog. And it's like, all right, so those three things I can easily make a song. Where it's like, if I can just make a song about anything, like I don't know where to start. So from a concept point of view, like if I wanted to create a gFam token, is that something that Koinos could help with? Is that something I could do via smart contracts?
Yeah, I mean, so things that that you'll be able to leverage Koinos for are technically things like creating a native currency, your own XRP.
Right.
And you can keep XRP within your application. You can add other cryptocurrencies within your application, but hey, you can create your own native currency within this application. And then you can write a smart contract that distributes that currency based on whatever logic you want. The logic can even be something like, you tell me, Adam, who to distribute it to. It can
Yeah.
be super simple. It can be as simple as input the addresses and the amount of tokens you want sent, and you, Adam, have total administrative authority over the smart contract, and so you can have, so let's say, centralized control over the distribution. Or you can write the smart contract in such a way as to enable some kind of decentralized distribution. The other major use case is obviously non-fungible tokens, unique goods. And within an application like this, you might look at things like badges or
That was literally what I was just about to say. Like we've actually drawn up the badges. We know what we want to distribute. And we're just trying to figure out how we want to best implement that. So yeah, so we've got, badges for things like posting 10 times or posting 100 comments or receiving 10 tips or, that sort of stuff. So those could be NFTs, I guess, using Koinos.
Yeah, absolutely. And Koinos is, we think, we haven't been able to validate this yet, but based on the technical implementations, the design of the stack, we expect NFTs on Koinos to be probably an order of magnitude cheaper than on any other platform. Aside from the fact that it'll be feeless, but feeless doesn't mean it doesn't cost anything.
Right.
If you really want to maximize what you can do with your feeless transaction capacity, you still want the network to be low cost, and you want the cost of running certain smart contracts, all contracts, to be as cheap as possible so that you can do more. But the point I want to get to about your application is that the mental model for your application, let's call it the mission of your application, I mean, it's kind of wrong. It's come here to make money. Like whether you feel that way or not, whether you want it to be that way, that's the mental model that's governing the design decisions and the technical implementations behind it. And that's the root of the problem, because that's going to cause you to make all kinds of decisions, including in how you integrate blockchain, that are ultimately not going to make you happy with the end product. Yes, you could still implement fungible tokens and you could still implement non-fungible tokens, but the next thing you're making all these decisions that are based around maximizing the price of those fungible tokens, the price of those NFTs, as opposed to the value that those tokens are adding to your user experience, to the application and the app, like the ecosystem that you're trying to build. And so let me just real quick say what I think the mission really is, like what you want it to be, is I believe that for applications of this type, what you want to be building is an application where the users who are adding value to the platform are getting a stake in the platform. And how you define stake and how you track stake and how you quantify stake is kind of a separate question. Like that's where you, but first, that's where you go down the rabbit hole. But first, you have to understand, like, what do I mean by stake? What does that mean for the user? Is that something that they want? Are those the users that I want? Because the problem is that when you lead with a certain model or mission, then you attract a different type of customer or user.
Yeah.
And, so like right now, I guarantee you most of the people who are using your app are doing it because they want to make money. And maybe 20% of them or 40% or 60% really are doing it because they just believe in the vision and the growth, like, and they just want to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's but like 10%.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the 10% you want, right?
Yeah. Like,
wouldn't you rather the 10% be 100%, right? And so you have to start imposing that discipline and being like, no, the things that make this about earning money are the wrong thing and the things we need to design away. And so, and it's like, it's such a subtle distinction, which is why I was comfortable being like, it's wrong. It's close. And if I didn't have all of my experience, I went through this. I had to learn this lesson too.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of challenges around the stake-based model too, because then you start thinking, but it sounds like a security and it's not, and there are legitimate hurdles. But I mean, I define stake as interest in a common What's that?
Interest in the success of the ecosystem?
I mean, even simpler. I mean, I define stake as interest in something that isn't shares.
Right.
It's not shares. That's the whole point, is we're trying to design a system where you can accumulate stake in the system, and it's not shares in a centralized company. And now we start getting into how we can utilize smart contracts to progress our mission. Because when you're talking about distributing things in a system that isn't centrally controlled, now you're talking about things that benefit from decentralized consensus. And that's where blockchains shine. And so maybe you want a fungible token that is distributed by your users, and you have like a delegated proof of stake consensus algorithm. So you have one smart contract coding for the governance. That would be like a delegated proof of stake thing where all of your users vote for 20 other users, and those users kind of vote and distribute their token. And so now you've got this fungible token, this kind of in-game currency that is rewarding your users and motivating your users to continue using the platform and spread the word about your platform. Fungible tokens, I believe, are really great at crowdsourcing marketing. They're a way of giving users a stake in a way that requires like very little administrative overhead, that you can decentralize, and that is sustainable because it's not funding your development. It's
Right.
about bringing in more people. And so, this is something that users can evaluate pretty well. But here's the thing. Say that token stops working so great. And you're like, this isn't furthering my mission. Like it's losing its the thing is that it's really easy. Given enough time, any game will be gamed.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. People are very, very good at figuring out how to game a system.
Yeah, exactly. And you really have to embrace that when you're building systems like this, instead of pretending that, you're just, like, don't plan to just solve the gaming. Plan on integrating the gaming into your application.
Yeah.
So maybe you plan to launch more tokens. So first of all, one of the benefits of Koinos is that all of the smart contracts will be in-band upgradable. So getting down to how you can utilize smart contracts, and specifically smart contracts on Koinos within your application, not all blockchains have in-band upgradable smart contracts. And what that means is that you're stuck with the smart contract that you launched.
Right.
So one way to plan for people gaming your smart contract is to build it on a platform that has in-band upgradable smart contracts, because then you can just upgrade it.
Yeah.
Especially if you give yourself total authority over that smart contract. Now, that might not be in line with your mission. So you can decentralize it. So you can leverage a governance algorithm. But honestly, I think federated governance is probably underrated. Like, just pick your 10 favorite people and be like, and then you just pick. But it's going to depend on your use case. But maybe also you just plan to release more currencies, or version 2, like, don't act like you're trying to replace the US dollar. Act like you're trying to figure out how to reward the people who stick around the most, who contribute the most and do the most to promote the platform.
Yeah.
And badges can certainly be useful there. But the problem that I'm seeing in the space is that people are putting the technology first and the use case second, and we need to flip it.
Yeah.
Like Laura Shin is, I think that's her name.
Yeah.
She's a crypto journalist for Forbes, and she's like, she asked some question like, are NFTs the use case that are going to onboard everyone? And my response to that was something like, yes, but only if they don't know that they're NFTs.
Right. Yeah.
Like there's some other application. And so here's what I think key is to understanding how you can leverage smart contracts in your applications. And let's just be clear. There are 3 primary use cases for general purpose blockchains. It's fungible tokens, non-fungible tokens, and smart contracts. And smart contracts are just like, you are almost always going to be supplementary code to the fungible and non-fungible tokens. So you're like creating these 2 types of tokens and you're distributing them in some way. And the smart contracts are really about distribution.
Yeah.
Right. These are ledgers. Yep. Ledgers are databases that store token transfers. And I just want to make that clear, because I feel like a lot of people, they learn about this technology and they're like, oh, great, it's a MySQL database that never goes down. And I don't need to run, and no, it's not.
Yeah.
But so the most important thing that I think will catch up the largest number of developers who are new to the space, or even old to the space, is that what you're doing, you have to think of your implementations in a 2-sided manner, meaning what is the user getting out of this and what am I getting out of this? And only once you have those two sides, and they have to be in balance,
Yeah.
do you have a solution that actually creates any kind of value. And when it comes to fungible and non-fungible tokens, I believe that the value for you is the data that it gives you on your users. So for example, what you want to know is who are your best users? Who are your most committed users? Who are your users who play by your rules,
Yeah.
who are in line with your mission, who help you accomplish your goals? And then you give them stuff like badges and fungible tokens, because, you know, like fungible tokens are really good to see like a uniform score for the total lifetime value that a user is contributing to an application. So you see 5,420 and you're like, that's more than 200. That person has 200, that person has 5,000. It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
That's just a lot more.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Non-fungible tokens are good for when you want to see like, oh, this person did a specific thing. They did these competitions. They they performed these specific actions, and it's not so and they're not apples to apples type. It's not an apples to apples thing.
Yeah.
It's a type of thing where there's no real comparison. So we create these discrete things, and the way that you track that information within your database is through the creation and the distribution of these fungible and non-fungible tokens. And now you can actually query this stuff. You can say, I want to know, okay, I'm going to distribute badges to everybody who bought our fungible token on the first day that it was released. I can program that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can program the distribution of a fungible token. I can do both. I can do both, right? I can program the distribution of non-fungible tokens based on the distribution of fungible tokens, and I can program the distribution of fungible tokens based on who has non-fungible tokens. So I can say, hey, you know, over the last month, you've earned all these badges. I've done this. We've created this algorithm, and we're going to distribute fungible tokens to you based on the badges you've earned. And so now you can create an ecosystem where the tokens of both types are being distributed in such a way that they simulate or are a kind of stake in the platform,
Right.
where the people who have this stuff get more from the platform because they've given more. And that's really what stake is about to me, is where you're using incentives to align people. And really, we need to get back to thinking about blockchains as incentive technology. It's not magic. You can distribute incentives in good ways, in bad ways, and the better the platform is designed to enable developers to distribute incentives in a good way, the better it will, the more value it will create, and the better designed it is itself to distribute incentives, the more value will be created. And so, last thing I'll say is that one thing I think developers should do moving forward, especially in the case of Koinos, is actually look at the smart contracts. And this is something you can only really say on Koinos, but I think this is like the potential power of this is difficult to overstate. Because the system itself will be running on smart contracts, developers should be looking at those smart contracts and learning from those smart contracts about how to develop their own applications. So as you will see when we release, as we make progress on Koinos, we intend to use, so some of the first smart contracts we're going to write are the fungible and non-fungible token contracts.
Yeah.
It's not an accident. It's because they're incredibly important.
Yeah.
And they're going to be incredibly important for us to incentivize node operators who are infrastructure providers and long-term stakeholders who are capital contributors, and developers as well, who are kind of like labor. They actually build the stuff, build the applications, and use the applications. And look at how we solve all of those problems and use those lessons to inform your implementations. I think every application will basically be kind of riffing on these themes. They will be using very similar implementations within their own applications, because these are universals. With every system, you have engineering, technical, infrastructure stuff, the foundational stuff. You have people who want to invest in the long term. They're just like, this is great. It's going to be huge one day. I want to put some money in there and I want to forget about it.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have the people who are actually using it on a day-to-day basis, and adding value to it. But you're also going to have people who are just attacking it and who are just trying to exploit the loopholes. And so these are the exact same problems we're dealing with at a platform level, but we're forced to generalize our solutions as much as possible. So you, as the developer, what you need to be doing is saying, okay, these are the generalized solutions. These are the solutions that are intended to enable the largest number of developers as possible to build their specific applications. How do I build my specific application? How do I take these generalized solutions, these what we call primitives, and make them advanced, make them specific?
Yeah, no, that's actually given me a lot of ideas on what, gFam 2.0 was going to be. So yeah, I now have to go and write a ton of notes because of all the ideas and implementations that I want to incorporate with Koinos. So thank you, Andrew. This has been very super helpful. It's always good. It's always good to have people to tell you that you're wrong, because no one does that.
Yeah. And I can't wait for you to be like, for you to tell us what we're wrong. Like, our developers have no fucking clue what you're talking about. And one last thing I just want to make clear is that, despite the fact that I was talking about Koinos, and it was definitely specific to Koinos, the same logic does effectively apply to every general purpose blockchain. And, we're designing Koinos to be the optimal solution to those problems based on that kind of mental model that I just outlined to you. But maybe our mental model is wrong. But at the end of the day, it's a smart contracts platform. There'll be the same smart contracts as on any other platform. But I think what we're really going to see is that what's really going to differentiate, a big thing that's going to differentiate Koinos is that the design of the system makes it a lot easier for developers to build the right mental models. All of the system logic on Koinos will be implemented as smart contract modules. But here's the funny thing: there's no architectural component of the modularity.
Right.
It's just WASM smart contracts.
Yeah.
The thing, but the thing is, based on how we designed the system with the Mana system, with, I guess, the microservice architecture, everything, every little thing, it just becomes obvious. Oh, smart contracts should be written as little modules that talk to one another. You have your XYK market maker here, you have your token contract, you have your governance contract, and it just makes sense to package things in a modular way, especially because you have the in-band upgradability. So once you have the ability to upgrade, you want to package each feature in its own little module so that when it breaks, when it needs to be improved, you just upgrade it. When you don't have that in-band upgradability, you go, I'm going to build it all as one thing so that it can run efficiently. I can't upgrade it. So I better build it. I better spend 10 times longer building it and make it perfect. Right. So it's really wild. Like a huge part of what I think we're doing is you build this system so that the developer can come in and go, I get it. Like, I get it. I can move right away. I don't have to learn about it.
No.
I just use it the right way and my app is good.
And I only need 3 things. And I can just take those 3
things.
Exactly.
Exactly. So, I mean, personally, obviously I'm hugely biased here, but I do think that even if you were to go and use a different blockchain in the future, thinking in terms of how Koinos is designed, it will not set you back hardly any time at all, because you'll just go to that platform, you'll write your smart contracts on that platform. They really won't be that different, but actually the design of your app, again, in my opinion, will be much better.
Right.
It's funny, even though you chose not to build on Koinos.
Yeah.
Which is great, because you know, because that's what we want. We want to be forced to deliver a great application, because you can leave whenever you want. You can take your money and go whenever you want.
Yeah.
No love lost, no money lost.
Yeah. And that should hopefully make sure that you always want to be the best, or at least one step ahead of your competition, just to keep those people.
I mean, I think the thing that we're betting everything on is that we'll be the best platform for developers, the platform that developers will love using the most.
Yeah.
Does that mean we'll always have the fastest block times? No. Does it always mean we'll have, you know, the fanciest, shiniest consensus algorithm? No. We might, you know, we want to be doing all this stuff. There's these paradoxes to all of this stuff where it's like, the easier you make it for people to leave, the more likely they are to stay and to keep their capital within the system. You know, the more focused you are on developing value to developers, and the less focused you are on these specific implementations, sharding, proof of stake. When you care less about, proof of stake, it has to be proof of stake, it has to be great in proof of stake. And instead you're obsessed what's going to lead to the best developer experience. Well, you turn around and you do have the best consensus algorithm, and you do have the best resource management system, because it's what developers wanted, and it's creating the best user experiences, you know?
Yeah, no, it's a big deal. No, that obviously sounds very exciting for me as a developer. Sorry.
Well, and it goes back to the limitations thing, right? It's like you limit yourself.
Yeah.
Developers, that's it. That's all I care about. And then you build something fast, efficient, like the microservices architecture, you know? It's not what you would build if you were saying, like, how do I maximize scalability? But it does help with scalability. It's about, but you get there through the developers. And it's funny
I guess
how that works.
Brilliant and upsetting for you is that, say, on gFam, no one's going to know that they're using Koinos in the back end, because they'll be getting the gFam token, they'll be getting this and that, but Koinos will never get the praise that it probably deserves.
I certainly, it is a goal of ours to enable users to use Koinos and never know about it. I think what we'll see, and of course this will be up to the developers, is that what you'll get out of mentioning the Koinos brand is that you'll get an added level of trust, of legitimacy from using this technology. Just like now you say, you know, it's XRP, and people go, oh, it's Ripple, I've heard of them. You know, so we want it to be like you're saying Koinos, like the internet, you know, like it's Koinos powered, it's like the internet, you know, as opposed to, you know, oh, it's Koinos, so hey, all of you Koinos whales, come over here and blow this up. It'll be the brand that you're mentioning, because you're getting value from the brand. And if you don't, and if you're just getting value from the technology, then we're perfectly happy with that too.
Right. And I know for me personally, it's either Koinos or Tron. I mean, you're both so close in reputation, it's really hard to
just neck and neck.
Well, thank you very much, Andrew. This is, I really do have a lot to write down now. Like there's a lot that I need to get my head around, which is exactly what these chats are all about. So thank you very much, and have a
My
great
pleasure.
week.
Yeah, you too. I hope it was helpful. And if when you're writing that stuff around, writing that stuff down, like, no, this doesn't quite work for me. This doesn't quite make sense. Reach back out to me. Let's talk about it some more. The beauty of creating a platform is that you don't have to create applications.
Yeah.
But you do have to make it super easy and great for people like you to build those applications. And so, yeah, we want to know what we can do to make it better. And anybody else who's watching this, if you're a developer, if you're a software engineer, we can use a ton of help at every layer of the stack. So don't hesitate to reach out to me, learn more about the platform. Yeah, there's plenty of places for developers and engineers to chip in and to help get this thing built.
I have every intention of being as annoying as possible.
Perfect.
Great. All right. Thank you very much, Andrew.
My pleasure.